afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Just wanted to do a little bit of updates with folks, just to let you know what's happening here at the Senior Center. December 11th is movie night. Okay, so that's next week, 5:30. They're showing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is the movie. If you need transportation, we certainly can provide that. Please call the Senior Center or sign up on the bulletin board that you need a ride, and we'll pick you up at home, bring you here for the movie, bring you home. We usually serve a light dinner, usually sandwiches or pizza or something like that as well. So you're all welcome to come to that. Also, Mondays and Wednesday afternoons, we do show a Christmas movie right after lunch. Sally shows various Christmas movies, so check that out as well. Sign-up sheet is on the bulletin board for that. And something different and new that we're doing for the holiday season is gingerbread decorating contests. So this is something new for us, but Sally wanted to try it. So you will have a pre-made gingerbread house, and then you would need to decorate it and make it into your own style as far as decorations. So that's happening 2 dates, December 18th in the afternoon and December 19th in the evening. So if you want to participate in that, there's a sign-up sheet on the board, or call us, get more details on that. Even if there's a bunch of you, 4 or 5 people that want to get together to decorate, I think it would be a pretty cool idea. And then our Christmas party, the 21st of December, we're actually going to have judges who will judge the top 3 best gingerbread houses. So be something different and new, so hopefully think about participating in that. Also, we have Savini's Pomodoro Trip coming up. Savini's restaurant out in Woonsocket. That's on December 28th, and the sign-up sheet is for that. That is a cost of $25, but that includes everything. That includes your drink, your dessert, your main meal, etc. That will be a great time, so think about doing that. And then, if you haven't finished your Christmas shopping yet, we have a shopping trip coming up to the Auburn Mall on December 17th, and the van leaves around 1 o'clock for that. So lots of things going on to keep you busy, okay, for the holiday season. All right, we have the chief here to give us a little presentation. Lunch and Learn is today, of course, as well. So let's do a moment of silence, please.
Thank you. My name is Marc Montminy. I'm the Chief of Police. I'm back again. Thank you for coming to the Lunch and Learn. Today, because I'm new, they asked me to speak a little bit about myself and my career and things that I've done over the course of the last 33 years. So if you're bored to tears, I want you to blame Jean. Does everybody know Jean? Okay. Jean is the one who put me up to this, so I apologize if you are bored. But a little bit about me. First, I'm brand new here, but I'm originally from Cumberland, Rhode Island. I was born and raised in Cumberland, not far from here. Went to high school in Milford, Massachusetts. Wow. So that's not too far away from here. And then I spent 33 years in law enforcement in Connecticut. So my family moved to Connecticut, and I became a police officer after college, and have served in Connecticut for the last 33 years. 3 of those years were, 3 of those years I was the police officer in a town called Coventry, Connecticut. Not Coventry, Coventry, you have to say it right. But Coventry, Connecticut is very similar to Uxbridge. The same population, the same size, but I spent the last 9 or 10 years as chief of police in Manchester, Connecticut, and Manchester is a little bit different than here. About 60,000 population, 120 police officers, 2 interstates run through it, and we had more crime in a day than Uxbridge has all year. So this is a big change. I have an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's degree in public administration that I developed over the course of years. And I attended the Police School of Staff and Command in Chicago. Those of you who don't know, there's a college in Chicago called Northwestern, and they have a police program there, and they teach a class called the Police School of Staff and Command, which I attended. And then I attended the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. So that's kind of, by way of background, that's some of the things that I've done. And I have some unique experiences that I'd like to tell you about. We talked a little bit about the small town of Coventry that I served in. I love police work in Coventry. You got to know everybody, kind of like they do here in Uxbridge. Somebody once asked me what my definition of community policing was. And I said, community policing is easy. It's when everybody knows their police officers by their first name. So, I mean, you know, if you know your officer well enough to call them by their first name, then that's community policing. My name is Marc, by the way.
Okay.
With a C.
With a C, that's right, Marc with a C. Unfortunately, I had the unfortune of being the incident commander at a mass shooting. There was a mass shooting in Manchester in 2010 where 10 people were shot, 8 were killed, 2 were injured, and Manchester became the center of the world for about 48 hours on the press. It was the worst thing that ever happened in my career, and it happened almost 1 year to the day after I became chief. So I became chief in July of 2009. This happened in August 3rd of 2010. So I had 1 year under my belt as chief of police when I got a call saying that you need to come to this particular location because there was an active shooter. But we developed some expertise from this incident, and police don't typically have expertise in active shootings because they very rarely happen, and nobody's had it happen to them twice. So if you're unlucky enough to have had 2 experiences with active shooters, you need to find another line of work. But I have devoted a lot of time and energy to 3 different topics: domestic violence, human trafficking, and the opiate addiction. So those have been kind of the cores of my police work over the course of years. So what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about each of those 3. First and foremost, domestic violence. I don't know if people realize this, but there are 10 million victims annually of domestic violence. And when we say domestic violence, it used to be people who live together, share a child in common, and things like that. But now it's really much more extended than that. If you have a personal relationship with a person that you've lived with or share a child with in common, it doesn't make a difference if it's 2 men, 2 women, or anything else. It's considered domestic violence if there's physical violence between the 2 parties. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men will experience some form of domestic violence in their lifetime. So it's a serious problem, and the interesting thing is domestic violence hotlines receive approximately 20,000 calls every day for reports of domestic violence. It's one of the most underreported crimes in the country, too, just so you know. And it's interesting because domestic violence doesn't only happen in poor communities. It doesn't happen to black people, white people. It happens to everybody. Every socioeconomic status seems to be affected by domestic violence. And I want to talk to you just a little bit about human trafficking as well. What do people think of when I say human trafficking? A lot of times people think of sex trafficking. But it's not just sex trafficking, but a lot of people are bound into some kind of labor as a result of a debt they owe and are required to work off their debt. And in certain countries, this is perfectly legal. But more often than not, this is very common in the sex trade, and it's very common in a lot of menial labor situations. It's basically modern-day slavery, is what it is. Trafficking is the exploitation of adults and children for use as a commodity in conditions of sexual or labor servitude. So, for example, in India, I'll just use that as an example, if you owed somebody $5,000, they might say, hey, take my daughter for 3 years, and that'll pay off my debt. And in certain countries, not only is that tolerated, it's not even illegal. Here in the United States, what typically happens is we see those individuals end up in the sex trafficking business, in the sex trade. So they use force, fraud, and coercion to achieve their exploitation of individuals who are unwitting. And human trafficking is the second most profitable crime in the world. The most profitable crime in the world is drug trafficking. The second most profitable crime is this. And one of the reasons for that is every year we arrest hundreds of thousands of people for drug trafficking. When was the last time anybody ever heard of somebody getting arrested for human trafficking? Happens very infrequently. So that's why it's such a profitable business. So the average age of a girl who becomes the victim of a prostitution ring, anybody know? 15, 13, 12 to 14. The average age of a boy or transgendered youth who first becomes the victim? 11 to 13. That's the ages we're talking about here, folks. 50% of trafficking victims are under 16 years of age. So I think you understand why I'm concerned about this particular topic. And the last topic I wanted to discuss with you is the opiate epidemic. Everybody's probably familiar with what's going on in the opiate. I wouldn't be the first person to talk to you about this, I'm guessing. It's a serious problem here in New England.
You want my plate?
Yep. So in 2012, this country alone, 259 million prescriptions were written for opiates. So that's enough for every American adult to get their own bottle of pills. Not their own pill, their own bottle of pills. We use more opiates in this country to fight pain than almost every other country combined. The United States makes up 4.6% of the population, but consumes 80% of its opioids. And we consume 99% of the world's hydrocodone. Other countries, they don't treat pain the way we do. Here, we tend to prescribe opiates, and that has led to a lot of addiction problems, particularly in seniors. So here is a map. Take a look at this map for me. This is a map of the United States, and where you see red is where there is a serious opiate addiction problem. So you can see that there are certain places in the country that have an opiate addiction problem, but this was in 1999. Here's what the map looks like in 2014.
Oh my God.
That's how bad the problem has gotten, and that was in 2014. And I'm telling you, it's gotten worse since then. So this is a serious, serious problem that we're trying to address. And one of the things that I've done to try to address this is to change police officers' attitudes. Now, for years and years, I've been in this business for 33 years, police officers tend to look at people who are addicted as a moral failing. And they don't think of addiction as a disease. And I think what we need to do is think of addiction as a disease, just like anything else. I started a program called HOPE, which is the Heroin and Opiate Prevention and Education Program in Manchester. And basically, the idea of that was to get law enforcement to be the entry point into the recovery system rather than arrest people. Because we know that arresting people for being addicts simply doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't cure them of their addiction. What it does is it creates a cycle where they keep going round and round. What I prefer to do is simply take those individuals who have opiate addiction problems and get them into treatment once rather than get them through the criminal justice system 12 times. So that was the essence of the program called HOPE. I wanted to also give you a couple of updates on what's going on at the police department in case you haven't heard. First off, we're in budget season. So we're starting to produce our budget for this year. Those of you who may have already heard about some of the budgetary issues that the town of Uxbridge is having. The issue is not necessarily lack of money, it's lack of accountability and accounting. So we're trying to put that behind us, but the police department is going to be going up for another budget, and so we ask everybody for your support when that comes around. We are hiring new police officers and new dispatchers. We're going to hopefully get requests through town meeting, annual meeting for 2 additional dispatchers. That's going to be my request. We don't have enough dispatchers to fill the job right now, and we really need more. The other thing is we're looking to promote a new lieutenant and a new sergeant. So we have an opening now for lieutenant that has been unfilled for about a year or 2? More than that? More than that. When I came here, I found out that the lieutenant's position had not been filled. And so we started a process, a promotional process, to fill that position. We have 3 candidates, 3 internal candidates who have tested for the lieutenant's position, and 4 candidates that tested for the sergeant's position. We're hoping that we're going to have these promotions in place by the end of the year. So that'll be a good thing for everybody. So we had a very successful first holiday night. Did anybody see that? Nobody went to the first holiday night, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a lot of people. It was my first time. I was shocked. I couldn't believe the length of the parade. I couldn't believe how many people came out in the cold to watch. And I couldn't believe how loud it was. The fireworks were great, and nobody got arrested. Nothing bad happened, and a lot of people showed up. So that's a win-win for Uxbridge. I think that's terrific that we had a good night. I'm glad that some of you had the opportunity. So that is what's going on at the police department. It's short and sweet. I won't bore you with more details, but I will give you an opportunity to ask questions if anybody has any. And if I don't know the answer, I'll ask Jean.
Even if they're wrong. When did you start dating?
All right, well, the scam's going around, the grandchild. And...
If any of you get a call on the telephone telling you that your grandchildren are in jail, or they've been abducted, or anything else, and people need money to rectify this problem, don't believe it. Or send the money to me instead, one or the other. But don't buy into that. It's a scam. So what I would tell you is, first of all, you should never be giving money to anybody who calls you over the phone. I make it a point. I donate money all year round, but I don't donate to people who call me cold over the phone. And I suggest that you don't either. The other thing, too, is the payment method. A lot of these scams, what they're going to do is they're going to ask you to pay by a certain method. If anybody asks you to get bit currency or a charge card, a prepaid charge card, or anything like that, it's a scam already. The IRS, I can tell you for a fact, the IRS has called me 3 times telling me that I'm going to jail if I don't pay them cash.
Oh yeah, me too.
You too? All right. So we can share a bunk, but we're all going to jail for not paying the IRS. It's a complete scam. The way I knew it was a scam was the person on the other end of the call, I was recording, the person on the other end of the call said, "And have a blessed day." The IRS couldn't care less if you have a blessed day. Yes.
It's also one about Social Security. They're saying there's a fraudulent activity on your Social Security card, and they're going to close it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, nobody from Social Security is going to ask you for that kind of information over the phone. So don't fall for those kind of things. Even if you got a call from somebody representing the Police Widows Fund.
Yeah. They wanted $25.
Yeah. You know, the reality is, even I get these calls. I don't donate to anybody who calls me, and I don't donate to any organization that I'm not personally familiar with.
Right.
And the reason is because I got a phone call from the FOP, the Federation of Police, asking me to support local police officers. I said, well, I am a local police officer, and the FOP doesn't represent anybody here. So it's I hate to say it's a scam, but what happens is these organizations hire paid solicitors that go out and they drum up business, and what they do is they take 60 or 70 cents out of every dollar. If you wish to donate locally, then donate locally, but don't do it over the phone. Yes?
Yeah, well, we get calls like from the local police and also the state police at 9 o'clock at night, and I go, I'm not gonna give any money to you. Well, we're the state police, and I says, we
Give it to local police in town.
yeah, I know, we give it to the locals.
Absolutely.
You know?
In other words,
Well, I don't know who it is.
if somebody's calling you at 9 o'clock,
At 9 o'clock at night, when
that's a
you call and say,
professional
hey.
solicitor,
Yeah,
which means they're taking 60 to 70 cents out of every dollar that
Yeah.
you donate.
and also, I also heard that a while ago, that they have the inmates call.
I never heard that.
I have, they had it on a
Maybe
couple
the
of years
inmates are
ago.
just calling you.
Yeah.
That could be it.
I don't think so.
2 days ago, I got a call from the social security number has been unfortunate.
Yes. It happens all the time. You're not the only one who gets them. Don't think that they're picking on you.
No.
They're calling all of us. And I have been called 2 or 3 times by the IRS. I've been called by a couple other individuals saying that, I've never gotten the call saying my grandchild is in trouble. I've not gotten that call. That could be because I don't have any grandchildren.
I said, Danny, you sound funny. He said, I broke my nose and it's all wrapped up. That's why I sound funny.
Yeah, it's a scam to get you to give them money. Yes.
I always say, never give any personal information out.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Absolutely. There should be no reason you have to give personal information out over the telephone, and anybody who requires you to do that probably already has the information. In other words, if you call your bank, or you call the cable company or something like that, they have already set up a code for you so that they can get access to your information. You shouldn't need to speak it over the air. And you should also not need to give your credit card number over the telephone either. Okay? So everybody be careful for that. Any other questions?
I get a call from United Cancer, and I was sending them money for 2 years. I wouldn't do it over the phone. I would send them a check. They would mail me. It looked professional. Then I reported to the fraud line that I got here, and they asked it's fraudulent.
It is
Somebody
fraudulent?
just put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
They still call me, I just don't answer the phone.
But even the professional solicitors, even if it's a legitimate solicitation for the American Cancer Society, it could be a legitimate solicitation, but they're still taking a certain number of cents out of every dollar. You'd be better off just sending a check to the American Cancer Society.
Right, well, I did that, but then I researched them online, and they were already reported to the Better Business Bureau.
There you go. That means they're a complete scam.
Right.
That's different than a paid solicitor. That's just a scam. Right. Yes.
Every year we get a call from somebody from the police department.
Because I had
And in exchange, you get tickets to a show, tickets, they have comedy, whatever. Is that
And he says,
scam or is that
you know,
something?
Our police union does have a drive every year. If you do get a call and you're not sure about it, you can call our department, they'll let you know if the police union is doing a drive. But we usually do put it out there somewhere.
But they don't use a paid solicitor.
They do use.
They do use paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they do give you tickets to a comedy show in lieu of your donation.
What was her question?
So I'll repeat it again. She said that she got a phone call from the local police union offering to give her show tickets in return for donations. And it turns out that that is legitimate. The police union runs a fundraiser, but it's local. In other words, this is all inside of Uxbridge.
But you might also want to call the police department before you donate to make sure that we are having a drive at that time. Our union does do that.
Just talk to us.
Yeah,
Just talk to us. If you're concerned, talk to us. We do a lot of things throughout the course of the year. We do a food drive, we do a toy drive.
We do a drive for New Hope.
Yeah, we do a drive for New Hope. But we do a lot of things throughout the year. But the solicitation that you're talking about is coming from the police union.
What we'll try to do is I'll try to remember when this starts, and on the first
We
Friday.
can announce it for you.
We'll announce it, let you know if it's legit, and we'll let you know when it stops. You know, we'll call down here and have Lisa announce it during lunch if they are starting their drive. So people will know it's a legit.
Any other questions about anything other than phone scams?
Well, in regards to phone scams, would it be sensible to, if you have a, would it tell you the number that's calling you, to write that down and report it to someone? Does anybody do anything about it?
No, right. It doesn't make any sense to write the number down and report it to the police department because the number changes every single time. What it is the computer on the other end.
Okay.
So what you may have heard is you pick up the phone and say hello, and there's silence for like 3 seconds, and then a recording starts. That's how you instantly know it's a computer. So some of them have gotten so good that what they do now is they try to even interact with you. Like they'll say something like, oh, I'm sorry, I dropped the phone. Yeah, I'm back on the line now. And they start talking to you, and you think that there's another human on the other side of that. But it isn't, it's a computer. And they can generate any phone number they want to pop up on your caller ID.
Yeah. Now they really know your first name and everything.
Well, they can get that information publicly anyway. What I'm saying is, it does you no good to write down the phone number and call them back because it's a fake phone number. So that doesn't work.
Okay. Is there anything that will work or could work?
Well, what I do personally is if I don't recognize the caller ID, I don't pick up the phone. Let them leave a message. Let them leave a message. If I recognize the caller, I pick up the phone. But you know what? Quite frankly, I don't know anybody in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah, I know, but if you got an out-of-state zip code or something like that.
Yeah, they still know the number.
Sometimes they can put in any number they want. So sometimes what they'll do is they'll put your own number there. And so people pick it up saying, how am I calling myself? And they pick up the phone. Any number that you don't recognize, don't bother answering. I don't answer anything after 9 o'clock at night.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. No one legitimate is calling you. My mother calls me at 10 o'clock. I answer her calls, but other than that, I don't answer any calls that I don't know the phone number to, and I don't answer anything after 9 o'clock at night. And if I pick up and I hear that it's a computer, I hang up. I don't even bother apologizing. I don't even bother saying I'm sorry, I'm not interested. If it's a computer, I just hang up.
You don't even say hello then, right?
I don't. Well, I do. I pick up the phone and say hello, and then there's usually like a 2 or 3 second lapse before the computer kicks in.
That hello gets it.
That hello is the trigger, right? And so if I hear that 2 or 3 second lapse, I just hang up.
Some of them are very dumb, because I got a phone call once, and it was police department. So I said, where are you from? Oh, he says, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
And I hung up in here.
Yeah. If they don't know what police department they're calling from, it's probably a scam. Okay, folks, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and we'll see you back here again on January 4th.
You mean we won't see you until July?
No, I'll be here January 4th.
January 4th.
Thank you.